Kino Der Toten. Hands down the most iconic zombies map ever created. Take a step back with me, and see if its reputation is warranted. Let's jump right into the retrospective with the gameplay. Kino opens with a loading screen that recaps the previous 4 zombies maps that have come before. We can see comic panels that depict the loading screens of Der Toten, Verrucht, and Shinonuma. We can also see one of the teleporters on Reese, the characters inside of it. Playing over this is a speech by Richthofen. I'll let you listen to a couple little snippets of it.
Perhaps this station will hold the key to the real goals of Group 935. Who would have thought the MDT was capable of time travel? Where did that little girl disappear to? Only time will tell what new questions await us in this theater of the damned.
In this speech, Richthofen brings up the fact that the characters have time traveled using the teleporter, which explains the change in weaponry, whether we're using all guns from the 1950s and 60s now. This is a really big change going forward, as the maps aren't all set during World War II. They're going to jump around a lot more from this point going forwards. This time travel is presumably what we see in the final panel of the little loading screen comic. There's also the little girl that Richthofen mentions, who's pretty obviously Samantha Maxis, who he teleported away along with her father Ludwig Maxis during the events of Reese, or before the events of Reese. This is basically just a very brief recap of what happened in Reese and reminds you that, yeah, this is what happens next. The players spawn in the lobby of an abandoned movie theater that is being used by Group 935 as a research station, and the characters will remark that the power needs to be turned on, just letting you know that power is on this map because it wasn't on every map in World at War.
There seems to be no power.
Black Ops 1 makes one of the biggest changes to the zombies formula, and that Quick Revive now has a function on solo. Basically, for 500 points, you can buy the perk, and if you go down, it'll revive you. You get 3 of these per game, so you get 4 downs in solo now. This is just a pretty cool way of making the perk have more utility in solo, and making solo play not as punishing as it was in World at War. Especially with how janky World at War zombies can be sometimes, this would actually be really helpful there, but it's still really helpful here going forwards as well. I'm not saying it's not helpful, because it is. Also note that from here till every zombies map, at least at the end of Black Ops 3, Quick Revive will almost always be in the spawn room. So you can always buy it right at the beginning of a game, power doesn't need to be on, it's always there right when you start. Kino Der Toten also marks the debut of 2 new starting weapons that are going to be a constant in every map from here up till Origins and Black Ops 2. They are the M14 and the Olympia. This is also a super huge meme in the zombies community. Personally, I'm M14 gang all the way. Also going forward, the spawn room guns will now always be 500 points until Cold War, I think. This is unlike World at War, where one of the weapons would be 200 points and the other would be 600 points. So anyways, the M14 is a semi-auto marksman rifle with really good headshot damage, it's really good for getting points. It's just a very good all-around early game gun, and I think it's just much better than the Olympia. On the other hand, the Olympia is a double-barrel break-action shotgun. It has pretty respectable damage for a spawn room weapon, all things considered, but because of that you don't get any points with it early game, so it's just not a good investment. The only real time I can think of the Olympia being good is on your first dog round if you have no other options, but aside from that, it's just really not my thing. I understand if you like it because I do think it's a really cool gun, but again, I just don't think it's very practical in the long term. My opinion, stay away from it. And speaking of Hellhounds, they do make a return on this map, and they're pretty much the exact same as they were under Reese, just with all that World at War jank kind of ground away. And don't get me wrong, the Hellhounds are still pretty strong on this map. They're not really like the papier-mâché Hellhounds of Black Ops 3 and Black Ops Cold War. They're still pretty tanky on this map. Unlike Reese, there's no point in the game at which the Hellhounds will start spawning in alongside normal zombies, meaning you'll only ever have to deal with them on their designated dog rounds every 5 to 6 rounds. Kino's layout was designed in the same way that Reese's was, as in there are 2 paths you can take to get to the power. Both have the same amount of doors, so there's no objective better or worse side. The fan favorite path of the 2 takes you upstairs from the spawn room into an area that kind of overlooks the theater. Then you go all the way down and you open up a door that leads you down to a lounge/bar area. And then you go down a set of stairs. You can see in the gameplay there's the mystery box there. Then you go into the dressing room and you cut across, hang a left, and there's another door. Once you open up that door, you're on the stage, you run to the other side. There's the power switch. This is the upstairs/right way to open up Kino Der Toten. The less popular of the two routes, but still equally viable because the same amount of doors, cost the same amount of money to open it up, but it's the downstairs route. So you start in the spawn room, and then you run into this little back area here and hang a left, and there's a door. Then you can open up this door, and you're in this little side sitting area. I don't really know what it is, but you open up this other door into the alleyway. You follow the alleyway all the way down, and there's this fence that you can open up. You open up the fence gate and you lead into, I think it's like a stagehand area, but you can just cut right through, open up the other door, there's a little stairwell going down, and then right outside the stairwell door is the power switch. And that is the left or downstairs way of opening up Kino Der Toten. Again, both of these routes have 4 doors each and cost the same amount of points to fully open up, so there's no real better or worse route, but the fan favorite is the upstairs route because once you get to the bar, there's an MP40 on the wall. It's just a really good gun for the early rounds to get points while you get everything set up. Just overall, take the upstairs route. It's usually better in 99% of situations. Once you turn on power, the whole main theater area opens up. Like there's this door in the spawn room that is previously locked that unlocks and creates for easy access between the spawn and the back of the map. The curtains open up. Basically, the whole theater area of the actual theater becomes accessible. Once the power has been turned on, you also begin to encounter Kino's most annoying feature, the Nova 6 crawlers. As their name implies, they crawl around on all fours, and they explode when killed by normal gunfire. Most other means of killing them won't make them explode. Grenades won't, rocket launchers won't, wonder weapons won't, traps won't, melee won't. So basically just gunfire, but they explode, and they can damage you, and then they release these big clouds of Nova 6 gas from the Black Ops campaign, and it basically stuns you, blurs your vision, it means you can't sprint. They can be a real nuisance, but Kino's an open enough map that they're really not too big of a problem most of the time. But they are definitely something you can't really... I don't think anyone really likes the Nova Crawlers. At most, you put up with them, you don't really care about them very much. I do like how they'll crawl down the walls, through the ceiling. They won't just spawn in through normal windows like zombies will. They crawl, they break their way through the ceilings. It's pretty neat, it's unique. And I think that's cool, but actually playing against them, Also, another thing I forgot to mention is that their explosions when they actually release the gas can kill normal zombies, so you can use them for your own good, which that's nice. It gives them a bit more nuance than just being an annoyance for the player, which I think is part of why they're not too bad, is because you can use them for your own gain if you really want to. As for the map's perk selection, we're just dealing with the original 4, and then Mule Kick, which was added later on. So there is Juggernog at the back of the theater, Quick Revive behind the concession stand in the spawn room, Speed Cola is in the bar, and then Double Tap is in the alleyway. And then also Mule Kick is on the upstairs room right next to spawn, right before the door leading down to the bar. Kino also introduces a new power-up to the game mode, this being the Fire Sale. They only start to drop once you've moved the mystery box at least once, but basically they'll spawn in a mystery box at every single box spot, and they'll all cost only 10 points. These are really helpful for when you're trying to get the guns you want, and they're also a lot of fun in multiplayer when everyone's just scrambling to get to a mystery box, and they're chaotic, they're fun, really good addition to the game mode. Kino also has maps to help you locate where the box actually is, because since the whole map's inside for the most part, the actual beam of light won't be visible for most places. So this is just a way of getting around that, making it so anywhere you are, you can always still find where the mystery box is at. On the stage, there's a teleporter that you can link the same way as you would link the teleporters into Reese. You interact with the teleporter, then go back to spawn, and interact with the return pad. Then you can go back to the stage teleporter and interact with it. The only real difference here is that there's no time limit to link the teleporter like there was under Reese. You can take your time, hold X on the teleporter, wait 5 rounds and link it. Doesn't matter. The teleporter on this map takes you up to the projector room, which is where the Pack-a-Punch machine is located. It is a completely safe area that you're in there for 30 seconds. There's a clock above the Pack-a-Punch that shows you. It ticks down, shows you how much longer you have. But you can shoot out the window down to the main stage. The zombies will group up at the foot of the stage. There's grenades in there to buy. It's just a pretty chill area you can hang out in. Take a breather, pack a bunch of guns. Once the 30 seconds is up, you'll be teleported out of the projector room and back to spawn, or to one of 4 places, but we'll get to those later because those are kind of in the secret category / Easter egg, so we'll talk about those later. Kino also introduced a brand new iconic wonder weapon, the Thunder Gun. This is probably the single most iconic wonder weapon outside of things like the OG ray gun and maybe the Wonder Wop. As the name implies, it shoots a big blast of wind that insta-kills an entire horde of zombies in a single shot. There's really not a whole lot to talk about because it's just really good. It's objectively much better than the Wonder Wap because it can kill 25 zombies in a single shot instead of 30 in a single magazine. It can also be upgraded into the Zeus cannon, and the damage and the killing potential stays the same, but it doubles the ammo capacity, which technically that doubles the killing potential. I'm not really going to harp on it. I'm going to assume that if you're watching this video, you know what the Thunder Gun is and you know how cool it is. Traps make their return as well, and there are 7 of them on the map, which is way more than any World at War map had. 4 of them are electric traps, one of which is in the little corridor between the spawn room and the theater. Another one's in the doorway between the dressing room and the theater. And then there's one in the upstairs area connecting the 2 rooms. The one has the mule kick machine, and the other one has a mystery box spot in the upstairs room to the right of the spawn room. There's an electric trap there. And then there's one more in the stagehand area of the map, but this one's not really as good because it's not really cutting off like a actual doorway like the other 3 are. This one basically just blocks you into the little corner of the stagehand area. It's a lot more situational. I don't really like this one. Then there's a new trap. It's the fire trap, and it's in the little downstairs room to the left of spawn. This one costs 1,000 points, just like the other electric traps. Basically, it ignites a little fire in the middle of the room that kills any zombies that go through it. It's similar to the electric trap, but it's more in an area rather than a single spot it's cutting off. Then there's another type of new trap. It's the machine gun trap, and this one's not very good. It kills pretty slowly because it has to shoot at every single zombie individually. But there's one. It's on the lectern on the front of the stage. And then there's another one in the lounge right next to the speed cola machine. Again, these ones I don't think are very good because they have a pretty slow time to kill, and they're just, again, they can't kill a whole horde quickly like the fire trap or the electric trap are. These ones, and they cost more. They're 1,500 points instead of 1,000 points. Not a huge fan of these ones. I think they're neat, but they're not very good. That's about it for the original version of the map, so let's get right into the Zombies Chronicles version. As for Black Ops 3 version changes, there really aren't a whole lot. The only real gameplay changes are that now there are gobblegum machines all around the map, and then there's a Wonder Fizz at the back of the stage that you can usually get random perks from. All of the normal weapons have been replaced by Black Ops 3 weapons, but the only 2 new Wonder weapons are the Ray Gun Mark II, and then the Annihilator Specialist weapon. The biggest change here is actually a stylistic one, because now the theater is much more of an Art Deco aesthetic. There's a lot more gold on the walls, everything's a lot more opulent. It looks a lot more like a theater from the 1930s or 20s than it does in Black Ops 1, where it's kind of drab and boring looking. Because, no offense to Black Ops 1, but a lot of that game's maps can be very drab and boring looking. And that's it for the gameplay. So as many of you may know, Kino was originally intended to be a possible DLC 4 for World at War. But since Modern Warfare 2 is right around the corner, they ended up just delaying it till Black Ops 1. So it plays a lot just like a World at War map. It's kind of like Der Riese 1.5. Because again, it doesn't add really much. It's just more Der Riese, basically. I'm going to save my final thoughts for the end of the video though. So in the meantime, let's get right into the story of the map. Which this will be very quick because there's not a whole lot here. Especially compared to Der Riese. Kino Der Toten, the story is a lot more sparse than Der Riese's. It's only 3 film reels and then 2 radios as opposed to the 7 radios that Der Riese had. First we'll start with the film reels. So as I mentioned earlier, once you teleport out of the projector room, you have a chance of being sent to one of 4 separate areas. In your game, 3 of these rooms will contain a film reel and one of them will not. Because there's only 3 film reels, 4 rooms, you get it. So anyways, the 4 rooms are a room in the Pentagon, and the reels you're going to be looking for, they're going to have the Group 935 logo on them, so that's how you're going to know what you're looking for. One of the other rooms looks like it's kind of a torture chamber or interrogation room or something along those lines, but you can see in my gameplay, I had a reel in here. Another room you can go to is Samantha Maxis's room, and you can see here it's all clean and it's not scary, and then you can see there is my film reel in this game. And then the last room is the scary, bloody version of Sam's room, which in my game I had nothing in. There's no film reel there, but it's got like creepy teddy bears and stuff. It's a spooky version of the room. Once you pick up a film reel, you can teleport right back to the projector room, and then you can interact with the projector, and it'll play the reel, and I'm going to go through them right now. The first of the film reels shows a scientist working in a lab, and it's presumably Dr. Maxis. The actual audio, Maxis basically says he's upset because it's been 5 days of programming and it's not taking hold of the test subjects, and we'll get more to what that programming is later. The second reel shows zombies in it, and you can see the numbers 110 and the 115. In this reel, Maxis basically talks about how treatments are becoming more effective after some changes that the projectionist has made, which giving some clues as to what they've been doing at this movie theater to experiment with the zombies. The last reel basically just shows a big eyeball up on screen the whole time. In this reel, Dr. Max is talking about how Subject 2-6 has had some pretty big breakthroughs. He's convinced that this method of treatment will become 100% successful with some further testing and refinement. Other than those, there are the 2 radios hidden on the map, and I'm just going to play these in their entirety because they're both really short. The first radio can be found in the chandelier above the stage.
The tested subjects have been undergoing treatment for 5 days with little progress. I have been assured that given time, the programming will take hold.
Radio 2 is on the scarred tower outside the alley.
The test subjects have been undergoing treatment for 5 days with little progress. I have been assured that given time, the programming will take hold.
As you can tell, the film reels and the radios both contain the same contents because you need to get all 5 of them in one game to get the whole story, so I'll get to what number 4 and 5 are right now. Message 4 has Max is basically saying that they're going to accelerate the timeline for deployment because Subject 2-6 is showing such success. And then message 5 is that Subject 2-6 was killed due to a break in his programming and he lashed out at one of the scientists, so now they basically have to start from scratch. Again, this is much more light of a story than Derice had, where Derice had characters. This is just Maxis and Subject 2-6 basically, no one else. In the grand scheme of the zombie storyline, this is very insignificant unless I'm just unaware of some greater meaning it has, but it's still pretty good background knowledge. It fleshes out Maxis a bit more, showing how relentless of a scientist he was and how he was trying to do everything he could to harness the power of 115 and the zombies. So it's good characterization for him, but it doesn't contribute much to the whole story as a whole. Now that we're finished with that though, let's get to my favorite part of the video, the Easter eggs and secrets. Secret song on Kino is called 115 and can be activated by interacting with 3 pieces of the 115 meteor that are hidden throughout the map. One of them is in the spawn room.
Oh, I found the rock! Great!
Another one can be found in the dressing room off to the side.
I found another rock, but no vodka!
And the final rock can be found in the stagehand area on the shelf with, I'm guessing, their letters for the marquee, but it's right there.
Here's the last piece. What do I win? Hey! I found something neat!
You can launch the model rocket ship in the Pentagon once you've found all 3 of the film reels. You can see bottles for all 4 of the original Coca-Colas in the concession stand, like in the little snack box. There's a set of portraits in the upstairs room to the right of Spawn, and everyone has comments to make on all of them, so I'll let you listen to some of them right now.
His portrait's bigger than everyone else's. Must be trying to compensate for something. Oh, a little bundle of badass. Whoa, looks like Nikolai's put on a few pounds. What's he been eating? Ah, A Tale of Two Dempseys. Starts slow, but has a happy ending. Hey, look! It's nobody!
There are barrels containing zombies that are located all over the stage and on the ground in front of the stage. These are more than likely reference to the zombie movie Return of the Living Dead, because in that movie the army kept their zombies inside of containers very similar to this one. You can hear someone banging from inside of this crate outside this window in the dressing room. You can see what looks to be like a clown costume in the dumpster under the stagehand area. I think it kind of reminds me of Pennywise's costume from the 90s It show. At least that's what it reminds me of. So Black Ops 1 was when Treyarch was the most experimental with what the Pack-a-Punch did to your guns. Nowadays it's pretty much just a flat damage, maybe ammo upgrade, but they were really out there in Black Ops 1. Like this. You Pack-a-Punch with a ballistic knife, you can shoot a downed teammate, and it'll revive them immediately. It's pretty neat. I'm gonna try and include 1 or 2 of these, weird things that guns got in every one of these videos, because there's a lot of guns that got weird upgrades like this. So in Black Ops 3's version of Kino, there's the Samantha Music Box Easter egg, and it has to do with the knifing this blue door in the alleyway. Sadly, I couldn't get the Easter egg to work, so I have no footage of it, but there's a ton of videos online you can look up. I'll leave a link to one of them in the description below. but basically you have to knife the door. It's going to knock out a number sequence, you'll have to knife it back in return. Then just go play hide and seek with the dolls in the actual main theater room. You got free max ammo and the song. And this isn't really an Easter egg, it's just a weird kind of like tidbit, is that Richtofen's name is spelled wrong here, because everywhere else in Zombies is spelled with an E at the end, like Richtofen. But in this cutscene for the subtitles on Black Ops 1, it's spelled Richtofen with an A, which is pretty weird. And that's it for the Easter eggs. There really aren't a whole lot on this map, especially compared to later maps and even like some earlier maps like the Reese. But what is here, I think it's pretty good. Let's get right to the conclusion so I can state my final thoughts about the map as a whole. Overall, I think it's clear to see why Kino is such an iconic and well-remembered map. It was very accessible because it was the on-disc map of Black Ops, which I think, to this day, might still be the highest-selling Call of Duty game. And it's just, Kino's is a really good map for people who are trying to learn the ropes of zombies, and I think that's where it excels as a good, like, starter map, but people who are more skilled at the game might find it a bit lacking and challenged just because it can get pretty repetitive, there's not really a whole lot to do, there's no big Easter eggs. But, you know, I don't think a good Zombies map needs any of all that. That's all extra. What makes a Zombies map good, in my opinion, is how fun the actual core zombie killing gameplay is. And I think Kino knocks it out of the park, especially when you're playing with friends. But yeah, I'm back from my little 2-week break. I'm going to try to get back into the rhythm of making one of these videos every week. Maybe every week and a half. I might have to extend it to, especially because the maps are going to get more complex and I'm going to have to do the Easter eggs on each of them, because I'm planning on doing all the Easter egg for these videos. Yeah, but come back next week, we're going to talk about Kino's awkward younger brother, 5. And thank you guys all so much for hitting 500 subs, because you can't put into words how much it means. I really didn't think I was going to hit 500 subs ever, but the fact that I went from like 45 to 540 in like 30 days, it's just crazy. Like, I'm going to try and hit 1,000 subs by the end of the year, but I really don't think 1,000 subs by the end of November is going to be too crazy of a goal, especially seeing how much you guys have been subscribing, how much you've been watching the videos. So thank you, really. But anyways, this is Tactic Zombies signing out. Catch you all in the next video. God bless and peace out.
Yeah, cause I got it like that. Flow so smooth like I got it on tap. Yeah, and I'ma say it be a good night while I'm on my Yingling, while I'm drinking Bud Light. Can you get it when you miss